Okay, we're going to go into Module 2, Understanding Change as a Peer Educator. Here's our little outline for Module 2. We're going to look at the introduction to change, the social ecological model. We talk about this in a lot of our presentations. The trans-theoretical model, stage of change model, Rogers diffusion of innovation model, and then we'll have a module review like we did last time. We are doing this virtually, so I really want you to think of some situations in which you may want to create change on campus. So you can pause the video and think about this question in your head, or you can write down some things on a sheet of paper. Next, we're going to watch an introduction to change video.
Got any fun plans this weekend?
I'm definitely going to the homecoming game, but I'm not sure what other events though. What about you?
Come on in. Hey Sarah. Did we miss a hall meeting or something? No, you're good. I'm just going around to check up on all my residents to make sure that they're safe over homecoming weekend. I know this can be a time where people tend to drink, sometimes a lot. So here's some BAC cards to help you keep track of how much you consume if you do decide to drink. These might be helpful, actually. Thanks. Make sure you have a sober driver, and if not, get a ride share. It'll keep everyone safe. Plus, I hear local police will be setting up checkpoints at campus.
Don't worry, I think we're good. And everyone drinks during homecoming. It's like a rite of passage to college. And we're not driving, so we probably don't need these.
You never know. I find them helpful. They remind me to keep track of how much I consume. Just try to be careful and call campus security if you need any help. Happy homecoming weekend. Have fun and be safe.
Next, we're going to watch another video.
Okay, everyone. Dr. Williams wants our help completing this.
So what is this anyway? Some kind of survey?
Well, sort of. It's an environmental scan, and we're finding out what policies and services are on campus relating to the scan. This one's about tobacco, so we need to ask different offices about current tobacco policies and then find what areas need work.
Okay, so what do we need to do?
Well, maybe divide up the questions so we each have a few to research and pick what offices that you want to talk to. We'll go from there.
I can do this one about advertising. I know the editor of the paper.
Okay, great. Ask them if they prohibit tobacco advertising, and maybe you can talk to other media advisors about their policies.
No problem.
I have a work study job at the health center, so I can ask about their services.
Great. I will locate the overall school policy on tobacco use, and we can meet back here on Tuesday and see what we find.
Sounds good. Then we can come back and create ideas on what to improve.
So as you watch these videos, I kind of want you to think about what kinds of situations or behaviors have you encountered on campus that might call for a change, and what might you do to promote change in these scenarios? So we're going to look at the social ecological model. We'll see this a lot in our presentations. In its simplest form, it helps us think about how we can make change in various contexts. So we'll look at the individual level. This approach involves one-on-one interactions. You can use this approach to provide coaching, advising, feedback, and goal setting with a single person. Then we've got a targeted group. So when we use this approach, we move beyond individual conversations. This group of people all share some type of characteristics, such as maybe being first year students, maybe they're in fraternity and sororities, or maybe they're residents of Wall Gates. The group has shared characteristics. This group is identified through data that shows its members are at a higher risk of engaging in a particular behavior. We sometimes see this, right? A group of individuals go and do something that they engage in a risky behavior. This approach allows us to address specific problems with more than one person at a time. It can also allow a facilitator or trainer to address issues stemming from group norms or culture. A big thing that we talk about in our office is hazing. It's sometimes happens with fraternity and sorority members. So that might be a specific target group that we're looking at to talk about hazing. And then we have the community and population. This approach is a much more general method for conveying information and influencing change. you as a peer educator use a community population level approach to focus on the overall environment, such as the entire campus. This approach is best for reaching the largest number of people possible through a single campaign or project. Policy change often is an effective method for reducing harmful behavior in this approach. So again, we have this in a lot of our presentations, but here we see each of the levels of our abbreviated social ecological model and how they fit together. It's important to note that any particular program or initiative can operate on multiple levels at once. So we look at considering the individual, group, and population level strategies in crafting our programming and our events. So we also really look at remembering our roles as peer educators, right? We're sometimes a friend, that individual level. So you can kind of go back and see individual. An educator, looking at maybe a targeted group because y'all are all peer educators and y'all share similar characteristics. And then an activist, right, on that community population level. So now we're going to watch an approaches to change video.
Thank you for meeting with me during your sophomore year. Most people don't take advantage of their peer advisors until they're ready to graduate. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm looking for a summer internship to help me with my career. All right, can you start by telling me what major you are and what career you want to go into? That way we can look for some summer internships for you. I'm a communications major and I want to go into marketing. I'm hoping to stay here over the summer, so something nearby would be great. There are many marketing opportunities, so I'm sure we can find some in the area. That's good to hear. I was worried that there would be nothing nearby. Okay, we're going to do a few things during this meeting. First, we'll start looking at summer opportunities for you. We can start by checking the Career Center and seeing what they have on their website. Then we'll look at your resume and see what needs to be updated. And lastly, we'll talk about some networking skills that you can use at next week's career fair. Does that sound helpful? Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Here's another approaches to change video.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming here. Today, we will be talking about hazing, what hazing is, strategies to avoid hazing, and what to do if you think something is hazing. You are all a part of Greek life, but unfortunately, data shows that that's where most hazing takes place on college campuses. Our goal is just to make sure that you all are safe and every new member joining this year is safe as well. I will be going over trends we see on college campuses across the country so you all know what is happening. I know you all have been working very hard to prevent hazing the last few years. This is an issue that so many campuses face, but could easily be avoided if everyone knew what to look for and were all willing to speak up. So please take the information you learned today back to your house so all your members know how to keep everyone safe. Let's get started.
And we have one last video of approaches to change making.
So I was thinking we could plan out what we want for our social norm campaign on mental health. And I was thinking we could keep it running all next month.
We could use the survey data that we collected comparing people's perceptions versus the reality. We could completely challenge the way that everyone thinks about mental health.
Yeah, and we can put information on posters and hang them all around campus. We can put them in resident halls, academic buildings, and the dining hall so people see it all over.
I think we could use social media too, hopefully to reach out to more people.
Yeah, with social media and posters and maybe sometimes tabling, we could really reach the attention of the whole community.
I can work on social media. I'll come up with a few hashtags and figure out how we can use different platforms to reach more people.
Great, I'll work on those posters.
I will create handouts for the table events and everything else is planned out.
I think this will be great. Hopefully it could change the view on mental health on our campus.
So now we're going to look at the stages of change model. This is a theoretical model and we use it to explain change making. And it's a 5-step process and we're going to go through each of the steps. So this process is more circular rather than linear. Oftentimes people don't go through each and every stage: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance. A lot of times you'll see people go to different stages. And as I explain them, you'll kind of know what I mean, but they might be in pre-contemplation, go to contemplation, go back to pre-contemplation. They may even get all the way to action and then go back to pre-contemplation. So the first slide in the first part of the model that we're going to talk about is pre-contemplation. In this stage, a person can either be unaware that their behavior is dangerous or unhealthy, or they may even be uninterested in changing the behavior. The person is not thinking about any kind of change and may not start anytime soon. The person may admit that the behavior maybe has some negative aspects, but they don't believe that the negative at that point outweighs the positive. So then we go to contemplation. This stage marks a significant turning point for the individual. So, for whatever reason, the person has decided that the behavior is causing some distress. I'm going to go into vaping for this pre-contemplation. So, at this point, maybe somebody is vaping, all their friends are doing it. They're feeling good as they're vaping. They feel like it gives them energy. Sometimes it suppresses somebody's appetites. They may be losing a few pounds and thinking, nothing's that bad. They may have had the thought, they may have seen a TikTok video come through that says that somebody has had a stroke due to vaping or has ended up in the hospital, but they really aren't interested in changing their behaviors. So again, we go to contemplation. They may be seeing some negative health effects or damaged relationships or other experiences might be happening in this stage. The person gathers information and contemplates about making a change, thinking about how it would impact their life. A person in this stage is has some conflicted feelings about the change. And the person may see the reasons to change as well as the reasons to not, right? So this person that's vaping may have had an increased heart rate and maybe gotten dizzy one day and hadn't vaped all night, hit their vape in the morning, got really dizzy and kind of stumbled over their feet and fell to the ground when they woke up. They may be at that stage thinking, I need to make a change, right? But also, I love this. All my friends do it. It gives me a little bit of energy. It wakes me up in the morning. So they might be in that contemplation stage. For preparation, in this stage, the person has decided to make the change and is now preparing for it. This individual may collect more resources and make specific plans for their new lifestyle. It's not uncommon for an individual to stall out in that stage as they don't have to take action to implement the change that they have decided to make. So maybe this person will say, well, it's Monday. On Sunday of this week, I'm going to stop vaping. They may go buy nicotine patches or nicotine gum or a zero nic vape. So today's Monday. On Sunday they're going to stop. Action. So this is a stage where a person is making the change. The person is practicing healthier living by adopting smaller changes and learning from mistakes and occasional slips. So this person has passed the preparation stage and now they're in action. They're not vaping anymore. Maybe they have a nicotine patch on their arm. They're doing well, but they may go out one night to a bar and they might see some of their friends vaping and they might ask somebody if they could hit it, right? They don't have any vapes in their house, but they may ask somebody that has one on them. And they recognize, right? Oops, I slipped. I need to get back on my patch and not engage in that behavior. And then there's the maintenance stage. In this stage, the person has successfully made the change to a healthier behavior. Although the person continues to work at maintaining it, the new behavior feels normal and routine, like a routine part of life. So this is going to be maybe they haven't been vaping for several months and they're off the nicotine patch. So this and is now a part of their life, and they're just a non-smoker at this point. They're not engaging in any vaping. So this image really helps us visualize the stage of change model, and we can kind of see how the stages build onto the preceding stage. In the next few slides, we're going to discuss these stages by viewing videos, and then after watching each video, we'll kind of see what stage the person is in and how you will know what stage they're in. So now we're going to watch some videos about the different stages of change.
I think I'm ready. I met with the personal trainer at my rec center the other day, and she gave me a few workouts to do that won't be too overwhelming. I also met with the dietitian at my dining hall, and she gave me a few food ideas. So now all I got to do is get some healthy snacks and some fresh fruit. I guess I got to get my workout gear too. About that a couple months ago when I thought I was going to start my fitness plan. Yes, that didn't work. But this time's going to be different. I have a workout partner who's going to hold me accountable, and my friends have faith in me, and I have faith in me. This time It's gonna work.
What stage of change do you think this individual is in? Here's video 2.
I'm sticking to a budget now. I started tracking my finances when I realized I was spending a lot and did not know where it was all going. After I started tracking my spending, it's still hard to stick to a budget. After working hard on it, it's just a part of my daily life. I'm glad I made the decision to be knowledgeable about my finances, and it feels great to be on top of my finances. I feel empowered to keep this up.
What stage of change do you think this individual is in?
I would say I'm sexually active. I mean, what can I say? I've met a lot of females here, and I trust them all. I mean, they seem clean, so why bother with a condom? I don't think that's something we have to worry about at our age. And besides, in the heat of the moment, who has time to put on a condom or have a deep discussion about each other's sexual history? That's just not my style.
Consider what stage of change you think that individual is in.
I've been working on getting more sleep lately. I have not been getting enough sleep, and it's starting to affect my grades, my social life, and sports. I chose to get more sleep, and I feel much better. I even found some apps that track my sleep quality, which is really interesting to look at. Of course, sometimes I still stay up late on the weekends or to study, but most of the time I stick to it. And it's hard not to stay up and hang out with my friends, but I know that if I go to sleep, I'll feel much better in the morning.
What stage of change do you think that individual is in?
My grades aren't very good. Classes in high school were so easy, but I guess in college it is just different. I thought when I got my first midterm back that I was just having an off day. Now I'm at risk of being on academic probation. I want to do well. I want to study more, but I don't know where to begin. I never had to study, and I always get distracted when I sit in the library. I know I have to do something, but I don't know what I can do at this point to get my grades up. I don't know what I can do differently to help me for next semester.
What stage of change do you think that individual is in? So now we're going to talk about diffusion of innovations. So although the stage of models deals mostly with making a change on an individual level, we also know that we might make changes to our environment or to the groups that we are a part of to promote well-being. This might include implementing a new policy or a program to incentivize healthy choices. So we're going to discuss a model that focuses on this type of broad community level change. So Rogers' 2023 Diffusion of Innovations model was developed by Everett Rogers in 1962. It was used to describe the ways in which new ideas and technology spread throughout the community. We're going to take these basic ideas and apply them to how we as peer educators can focus our efforts to create social change. So we have the 5 groups of people. So these are the innovators. The few people in this group are constantly on the lookout for new information and ideas. They're typically the first to accept and adopt changes to the way things are done. These individuals tend to be seen as role models and have a high tolerance for risk. Then we have the early adopters. This group adopts a change after the innovators. Although these individuals are also role models, they tend to be a little more discreet about the change that they have adopted. Early adopters also tend to be selective about which changes they accept, which allows them to influence the opinion of others. Then we have the early majority. This group takes significantly longer to adopt a change than innovators and early adopters. These individuals tend to maintain social connections with early adopters. We have the late majority. This group takes longer than the average person to adopt a change. These individuals tend to approach change with some degree of skepticism, even after the early majority has become apparent. I think of my grandma in this. She does not want to get an iPhone. Mostly everybody has a smartphone, but she does not want a smartphone. So she's in the late majority on adopting a smartphone. And then we have the laggards. This group is the very last to adopt a change. The individuals are very skeptical and tend to place a high value on tradition and routine. They also tend to have little social contact with others who adopted the change earlier. So this is Rogers' diffusion of innovation model, the graph. The graph illustrates the process of a community adopting a new idea or change. So as you can see, the innovators are a very small group, only about 2.5% of the population. From there, you can see the progression from early adopters through both the early and late majority, finally ending with the laggards. And then this is another small group, but still very much larger than the innovator group. So I kind of want y'all to think, what large scale changes can you think of that might have followed this model? So this could be social media, smartphones, so forth. What are some examples of change that you want to make on campus that could follow this model? And as a peer educator, what are some steps you could take to encourage more and more people to adopt a proposed change? So, how do we decide what changes to encourage? We need to keep in mind that we don't have an unlimited resources. Our time, our money, our social influence, we only have a certain amount of those. So we need to prioritize what kind of changes that we want to make. In doing so, we want to consider the concepts of high risk behaviors. These behaviors are both highly probable for a given group or population and have a larger negative impact. So how do we decide what changes to encourage? This graph looks at the concept of a high risk behavior. So for example, winning the lottery is a low probability and low impact. It's probably not going to happen, but no one's going to be complaining or harmed if it does happen, right? I would probably be pretty happy. Getting struck by a meteor, on the other hand, is also extremely unlikely, but would have substantial negative impacts. On the other end of the spectrum, maybe getting bit by a mosquito in the summer is probably going to happen, but overall, it's usually not that big of a deal in terms of impact unless you're allergic to mosquitoes. None of these behaviors or events would be considered high risk. However, in the upper right, we might find that behaviors that are both highly probable for college students and are likely to have a significant negative impact. A classic example is binge drinking. So we may want to focus our efforts to promote change because this is where we could actually do the most good. So we go back through and we're already flying through and we're done with module 2. So we'll do our little review. We look at what are the 3 social ecological approaches to change making. So when we look at the social ecological model, we see that we have individual, targeted / group, and community / population. When we look at that stages of change model, what are the 5 stages of change? And those are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. And then what are the 5 types of people according to the diffusion of innovation model? And that is looking at the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and the laggards. And then we kind of talked about this, but what is a high risk behavior? Binge drinking is one of them. But what else are high risk behaviors? I want y'all to consider that as well. And we are done with module 2.